So we're doing the oil and so we're doing the oil and coolant on the Z3 right now. So I got the quick jacks all set up. They're actually really cool because you just leave them under the car because they're low profile enough that even the lowest cars that you have, unless they're slammed, probably won't scrape them. So what you do is you just position them under the mounts, as you can see I have there. Put the little blocks which they come with, set up the wires, they're quick connects that go to this pump here, and happens on both sides. You got the plug, so we'll plug it in, and of course the up and down button switch remote thing. So we'll get this thing up in just a few. So one thing people probably won't tell you when you're using quick jacks, or unless you actually own them, you know this, is always unscrew the little bleeder valve. Unscrew it a few turns because tons of fluid's going to come out of there. Well, not tons, but like air is going to come out of there as you're moving the thing up. And if you leave this locked, as you can see, stuff is already bubbling out just from pressure. So if you leave that thing open, if you close it fully, then what's going to happen is if you leave that thing closed, then what's going to happen is this is going to compress and blow the motor. We don't want that. It's actually spewing out a lot more fluid than expected, so we'll just get a rag, wipe it up, and we'll be good to go. As you can see, it sucks all the fluid back in. It's probably the first time this thing has ever been jacked up. Check it out. So at this point, what I like to do is check to make sure everything's level, check to make sure everything's under where it's supposed to be. So that's there, that's good, everything's good. And we'll check on the other side. The good news is this car's holding. If you hear creaks or anything, just stop what you're doing and fix it. But for the most part, this thing is looking good. Let's keep going. Check out under the car. Everything looks really good. Not a lot of rust. It's very clean. And for the most part, everything looks good. But we're not gonna be focusing on the back. We gotta go up there. So check this out. We have all sorts of goodies in here. I'll turn the light on just so you can see it easier. So as you can see, so here's what we need to look at. This is the coolant reservoir. You can see it's pretty brown. This thing's not looking good at all. We might take this expansion tank. Well, it's not an expansion tank. This is the... So we're going to be doing an oil change, so that involves taking out the filter, finding the drain plug down there, doing the coolant. We're not going to do a flush. We're just going to dump everything out and replace it with some new stuff, cycle it, do all of that. We're going to charge the AC, and we'll find where the L is for that, and we'll get started. So I actually thought before we tackle the coolant and the oil, one issue that's been bugging me is that the windshield washers don't really work. And it's not a huge issue, but I want to take this tank out, and there's a filter in there which we have to clean, and I want to see if this motor works properly. I'm pretty sure it does, but let's see. It's actually pretty easy to access, and it's very easy to just unroute the cables, unclip this little motor, and keep going. So let's see what we find in here. Okay, so we washed the reservoir, and these are the two components that kind of clip in and hold and starting over 3, 2, 1. So we took apart the reservoir, and what we found was this little bung here is actually what transfers the fluid into the pump, and the pump then sends it to the windshield. And as you can see, this is the clip that goes on the outside. So this is going to the AC, or this is going to the pump, and this part is inside the reservoir, and that's supposed to send water to the pump. And as you can see, look at how clogged this thing is. No wonder no water was shooting out. So we're gonna have to clean this out. It'll be very easy. Just take a little tool and pick out all the little gunk, and then we'll put this back together and reassemble. So guys, look at how clean that is. It's actually a green filter in there, and I kind of afraid of trying to use a toothbrush to clean it out. It is very fragile, so be a little careful. But this was so gummed up that anything will do. This should be okay. It's still got some threads on there that are holding strong, and I'm gonna put this back anyway just because we're never really gonna use the windshield washer fluid to the point where it's gonna cause gunk, and we'll check it often, so it shouldn't be much of an issue. So let's put this back in the reservoir, and then we'll put the reservoir back in the car and fill it up. So everything's roughly fitted back into place. and you put the one screw in, so we'll screw that in. But before we do, I'm going to put the filter back in, and you notice I haven't cleaned it, and that is because we're reusing the old washer fluid, and that still has a lot of gunk in it. So I want the filter to filter all that out while we put it in, and then I'll clean the filter, put it right back in, and we'll test it out. We'll see if this works. I'm hoping it will, because it looks like we solved the problem. Check this out. This is the amount of crap that would have been gotten back into. 1, 2, 3. Check it out, guys. This is the amount of crap that was in the bucket that we were about to put back into the reservoir if not for this filter. So we're going to take it out and clean it again.